Which then brings us to our first match of the night, the first match of the New York portion of the show. It's Paul Orndorff versus the Magnificent Muraco in a match that goes just over 4 minutes, and it ends when the two wrestlers spill out to the outside and they are counted out for a double count out. What a good start to the show.
What start?
Everyone loves a draw. Matt, why don't we go with you, because I can see that you're just desperate to talk about this one.
Jesus Christ. Come on! Why? I mean, I can't remember how long the match was. It wasn't even that long, but for the love of God, could somebody not just got a win? Doesn't matter who, just to do a double count-out finish was in the main event, in the opener of WrestleMania 2, your biggest show of the year. Just it was just stupid. I mean, the matches, it didn't go long enough for anything to really become of it. For me, the highlight of it was how pissed off the crowd were as well. There was a loud bullshit chant at the end with that finish. And the only other thing that I felt was remotely noticeable, like I said, earlier on, I felt the production of this show, there were so many things messed up. At the end of this, we'll come to this a bit, but Mr. T was cutting a promo afterwards as Howard Finkel was trying to announce the match.
Fink was waving at someone and shrugging his shoulders. But then we were cutting. So what was going on?
This is a consequence of the old school production, which was very clearly that you were supposed to announce the winner, and that the people on television were supposed to hear it. So Vince was going, we'll take you up to Fink for the announcement. And usually what would happen instantly is the bell would go, which would signal for Fink to then say, winner of the match, blah, blah, blah. And the bell didn't go because obviously somehow it didn't get relayed from Vince to the timekeeper that they needed to go to ring the bell. And that's possibly because Vince McMahon is commentating on this show from way up high, I think, somewhere else, or at least not around the ring with Susan St. James, presumably to keep Susan St. James away from the rabid crowd. I can only imagine that's the reason they've done it. And so Fink is just waiting in the ring for the bell to go, and it just isn't going. So he's just like, well, what do I do? And then Vince calls an audible, knowing that it's his message for whatever reason isn't going down to the timekeeper, and says, well, we'll throw you to Mr. T. And then just as he does that, Fink goes, oh, and then starts giving us the announcement. So yeah, there's some problems there.
How amateur hour was that?
It's like they've never done a show, but to be fair to them, they've only really done one, I guess, Wrestling Classic and some of the MTV stuff, but they hadn't done a lot of, and timing problems would be a problem for WWE pay-per-views long after this, in terms of things overrunning and matches cut out. They weren't nearly as well versed as doing live stuff as they are now. Nowhere near. I mean, and this was just a mess, wasn't it? Really, like, it was amateur hour.
Well, it was new as well. Doing live wrestling was new, in fairness to them. So all the Saturday Night's Main Event were recorded and then kind of edited and put onto the show. So they'd only done 2 by this point, but even those had been 5 they'd done by this point. Sorry, but even those had been recorded and edited later on. And I think even the MTV specials probably weren't live. I think they were probably recorded.
Know. They could have easily done it an hour before or something to just cut any mess out, couldn't they? Definitely.
Yeah, and I think they were only half an hour long, those shows as well, on MTV themselves. So it just wasn't done. It was just completely new.
It doesn't wash for me. I've seen live episodes of EastEnders that were better than that amateur bullshit.
Wasn't there someone was it EastEnders live episode, or maybe Emmerdale or Coronation Street, where someone in a wheelchair stood up? Did that happen? Yeah.
I do know somebody that technically stole something in a live episode of EastEnders. I can't remember what it was. Like, somebody went into a shop, they were having a conversation with the owner, but like they didn't give them money for the product they were buying, and just walked up to it.
Should have been arrested there and then.
See, I'm a big fan of EastEnders, but this is after my time. All the live specials, they were after my time, so I haven't seen them, so I couldn't possibly comment. But you know what? This was weird as well, because this started off this match. I was like, this might be quite good. Or it's all right at the start, because knowing the level of quality we're going to get overall, when they started, I was like, okay, this might be a pretty decent match. I've obviously forgotten that the match only lasts 4 minutes and it goes to a double count now. And immediately when it did that, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I remember now. This is why this show's rubbish, because even the stuff that's got potential is squashed by either the booking, the production values. This had some potential, but ultimately was just shit.
The only thing I've got to add is those bullshit chants. I remember I probably watched this when I was about 9, and I was like, oh, they're swearing, the crowd's swearing. I've never heard anything like it watching kind of sanitized 1990 WWF. So that's about it. But how are you asking people to go to their local gym and watch it, as we said, on a little screen and pay $15, and you're giving them this? And also, the production was so bad that when they were outside the ring, you could barely see them. Like, it was essentially dark. Like, this was toilet.
It was toilet. You're absolutely right. The only thing I will say for them, and it's not to let them off for the double count out, but Matt, you said something there, which was this is your biggest show of the year. It's not really technically true because, again, it didn't really work the same way. Their biggest show of the year was every single time they were at Madison Square Garden for a house show, or for the Spectrum for a house show, or at the Boston Garden for a house show, because all they wanted to do was draw the gates. This was, in fairness, either a rehash of matches they'd already done on the house show circuit, which had already sold thousands and thousands of tickets elsewhere, or matches that they were going to put on the loop, but they didn't want to give away the result for, which I'm sure is where this one came from, which is basically they were going to do Orndorff and Muraco on the loop and didn't want to give the result when everybody was already watching. And they saw it as effectively, even though people had to pay for it, they saw it as giving away stuff because they could draw much more in terms of going around the loop on the house show circuit over the course of the year.
I think they probably felt there were enough finishes on this card to not give them a finish here. But I think in terms of importance, you are right, Ben, in terms of the drawing. This is a bit of the puzzle for the rest of the year. And Orndorff, actually, I was talking about 1986. So WWF did start turning things around later in the year when Orndorff went heel and was paired with Hogan. So that's the time leading into showing, the big show in Canada and all that sort of stuff. So that was in 86 and moving into 87. But this time was bad. But the difference between this show is they spent so much money on this, they had to give a return. And I think that what they ended up getting was anyone that was dipping in because, they were interested in the NFL Battle Royal or something else. And there's a lot of talk these days about casual wrestling fans. I think to a certain extent, we're casual wrestling fans somewhat because we're not watching the product week in, week out. We've just got a big history of liking wrestling. It's not like the old days where someone might be channel surfing and stuff. It's just what time do you have and what can you fill it with? If you paid for this, whether it's closed circuit or very early pay-per-view, you must have been gutted with this. I think you were, apart from the very end, I think you'd have been, buyer's remorse. And that's a pretty bad position to put people in, I think.